So there's this massive project taking shape on the Chenab River. And you might think, okay, another dam. But this is way more than just concrete and turbines. The Swallowcoat Dam is caught right in the middle of a huge tug-of-war between geopolitics and the environment. It's a story playing out on a river that's, well, it's become a strategic front line.
So national security and ecological responsibility reinforce each other. What does that actually mean in the real world? Well, it's this idea that real strength isn't just about flexing your muscles, It's also about being a responsible caretaker of your resources. This is the big idea we're going to keep coming back to, so keep that in your back pocket.
Yeah, on paper, we're talking about a huge 1.8 gigawatt power plant. But honestly, that's just scratching the surface. It's the when and the why that makes this thing so important. This dam is a statement, and trust me, it's a loud one.
And that right there, that's the real heart of the issue, isn't it? It's a message of strategic power, for sure. But what's the real cost? When a dam becomes a symbol of national strategy, you have to ask who's actually footing the bill. And I'm talking about the costs you won't find on any spreadsheet. All right, let's get into it. Section 1, a dam with a message. We're going to peel back that first layer, the politics. To really get why this dam is such a big deal right now, we've got to look at what sparked the whole thing.
See, this big push for the Swallowcoat project, it didn't just come out of nowhere. It happened right after the Pahalgam attack, which led to India doing something pretty huge, unilaterally suspending the Indus Waters Treaty with Pakistan. And just like that, this dam went from being just another infrastructure project to a massive political symbol.
So, what is this Indus Waters Treaty, or IWT? Well, think of it as the rule book for water between India and Pakistan, and it's been in place since 1960. It basically says who gets to do what with the rivers flowing from India into Pakistan. So for India to just suspend it, that's a huge deal. It's a major geopolitical power play, and it suddenly cleared the way for big projects that have been stuck in red tape for years.
So what's the bottom line here? It's pretty clear. The timing of this project is a signal. It's India basically saying we're going to use our full water rights. And get this, the government is even using the term strategic value to try and bypass environmental studies. They're basically saying this is a national security issue, so the normal rules don't apply.
But, and this is a big but, there's a flip side. Pushing forward like this could really hurt India's reputation on the world stage, as a country that follows the rules. Pakistan is already questioning if suspending the treaty was even legal. And if India keeps building these huge projects without any cooperation, it might force other countries to get involved, which is the one thing New Delhi has always tried to prevent.
Okay, so that's the high-level politics, but all of this strategy has real-world consequences. So now let's move to Section 2, the river's heavy toll. We're going to look at the price the Chenab River itself is being forced to pay for all this.
First things first, the Swallowcoat Dam isn't being built on some untouched, pristine river. Not at all. The Chenab already has 3 other major hydropower projects on it, Dulahasti, Baglihar, and Salal. We're talking about a river that's already been seriously engineered.
And that leads to what some experts are calling a bumper-to-bumper hydropower corridor. It's a great way to put it, right? Imagine the river not as a flowing body of water, but as a chain of man-made lakes, one right after the other. There's hardly any natural river left.
And here's the really dangerous part, the part that's getting overlooked. Because everyone's treating each dam like its own separate thing, nobody's looking at the combined impact. And that's a huge mistake. We're talking about a massive buildup of sediment and a much higher risk of landslides in a region that's already known for being unstable.
So you might be wondering, how do they get away with this? Well, officially, the dam is labeled a run-of-river project. That's a technical term that's supposed to mean it has a small environmental footprint with minimal water storage. But, yeah, the reality is something else entirely.
Just look at this number, 50,000 crore liters. That's how much water the reservoir is estimated to hold. I mean, that is an absolutely enormous amount of water. So even if they call it run-of-river, in reality, it's going to act like a massive storage dam, bringing all the huge environmental risks that come with it.
Okay, so we've got the geopolitics, and we've got the environmental toll. Let's move on to Section 3, counting the true cost. Now we're going to talk about the money, and more importantly, the people.
Right off the bat, the cost has already shot up by 9,000 crore rupees. Why? The usual suspects, delays and inflation. And honestly, this isn't exactly a shocker. The company in charge, NHPC Limited, has a history of projects in the Himalayas going way over budget and way past their deadlines.
Now this chart, this is where it gets really eye-opening. It breaks down where all that cash is going. And what's wild is that only 0.6% of the total budget is set aside for rehabilitation. Let me say that again, not 6%, 0.6, barely more than half of 1%.
So keep that tiny number, 0.6%, in your head, because nearly 1,500 families are going to lose their homes, they're going to be uprooted and have to start over somewhere else. That is the human cost that's being covered by that tiny little sliver of the budget.
And it doesn't stop there. We also have to talk about the permanent ecological damage. We're looking at 847 hectares of forest being cleared for this project. To put that in perspective, that's like clearing over 1,100 football fields. That's a cost you just can't put a price tag on.
So you add it all up, the political risks, the environmental damage, the ballooning costs, the displaced people, and you have to ask, is there a better way? And that brings us to our final section, Section 4, a new kind of strength. This is where we explore a different path, one that marries strategy with actual stewardship.
The big idea here is that being strategic and being responsible aren't mutually exclusive. You can do both. It means doing your homework, studying the whole region before you build, not just one little piece at a time. It means being transparent, sharing water data to build trust instead of hoarding it like it's a state secret.
And this table lays it out perfectly. It's about a fundamental shift in thinking, moving away from this old idea of strategic autonomy at all costs and toward an approach that aligns that power with responsibility, with stewardship. It's about seeing cooperation not as a security risk, but as a way to build confidence, and choosing ecological restraint over looking for loopholes and exemptions.
And that's where we leave it. The final story of the Swallowcota Dam hasn't been written yet. So what will its legacy be? Will it just be a monument to geopolitical muscle flexing, a symbol of power? Or could it be something more? Could it be the wake-up call that leads to a new understanding? The moment we finally realize that real long-term national security and taking care of our environment aren't opposing forces. They're two sides of the same coin. The answer to that question won't just define a river. It's going to define an entire region.